Hello everyone, I think I am recording. Yes, I am. How you all doing today? Happy Saturday. My name is Andrew and I am the 5 p.m. chef. I hope everything is great with you guys. I'm just in one of those moods today where I woke up and I want to hit that kitchen. I want something that I haven't had in a while. I know there's a lot of places I can order this from, but I'm always worried. Like, you'll see what I mean in a minute. Anyways, today I want to make some gorgeous homemade fried chicken. It's my recipe. I'm not claiming to be a KFC knockoff. This is just what I like in mine. And you can change the spices however you want to your liking. This is more to show you the technique so that you know how to get that crispy crust and so that it's not as greasy and fatty as it always tends to come when it comes in that little red and white barrel. So, I don't know about you. I'm starving. I'm videotaping this as it's going to be my lunch once it's ready. So, I've got my oil heating up beside me, just in a pot. It's actually the exact same oil I used when I did the beaver tails. I just filtered it so there was no little bits in it. But as long as you don't burn your oil, as long as you don't get it too hot, you can use this oil like 3 or 4 times. Obviously, I'm not going to go, say, from fish to chicken to something sweet. But to go from some dough to some chicken, I'm not too worried about it. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to swap over the cameras, and there we go. I've just got a couple of nice chicken breasts here. I do have the other stuff ready, and you'll see that as we go. It's just I don't have a lot of counter space here, so I sort of have to work with what I got. Plus also this new laptop, it's 17 inch, so it's taking up quite a bit more of my counter space than I would like. So what I have here is a couple of boneless chicken breasts. You can use, let's try to get that, whoops, hit the camera there, sorry. There we go. You can use chicken thighs, chicken legs, bone in, bone out. I'm just using the chicken breast because, first of all, I can make some cutlets out of these. I can cook it a lot faster. I do like white meat when it's done right. But once again, this is really more to show you a technique than it is to show you a recipe. Please try the recipe. Maybe you'll like how I season mine. But in the meantime, let's get going. So, a couple of chicken breasts. We want to cut this into just some strips. When you look at the chicken, you'll see there's a grain to it. And on this piece, there's lines that go this way. Cutting across those will give you a more tender bite of chicken. Like I can see here, the grains of this chicken breast are running this way. So again, we're going to cut through them. If it's a really long piece like that, you can always cut in half. If you don't want to do strips, you want to do nuggets, just cut into bite-sized nuggets. If you're doing it as a dinner, feel free, serve a whole breast. I would, though, if I was going to do whole breast, I would butterfly it like we did in one of the other videos, in chicken piccata video. This way, it'll just cook faster and more evenly. Less chance of raw chicken, which is never a good flavor, and it'll just cook faster. It'll be a juicier chicken in the end. So now that I have my chicken cut, we'll get that knife out of my way because I'm not going to need it. We're going to do some juggling here because now we have to make the spice coating. You can add whatever you like in here. Okay. You can just do salt and pepper. You can do some lemon pepper. Do some orange zest, some lemon zest, and a little bit of sugar and give it a little oriental sweet and sour flavor. Whatever you like, the sky is the limit. It's whatever your tastes are. So if I add something in here that you don't like, don't use it. There's no law saying you have to follow this exactly, and I'm going to make it so you can't, because I'm not going to give you measurements. It's add to your taste. Experiment and play around. It's the best way to learn what's good. So to start off, I just have some cumin. I'm not going to add a ton because it can be a very strong flavor. Next, we add some thyme. Thyme gives a nice little herbal note, and thyme goes really, really well with chicken. Of course, we have to have out some garlic salt. In this case, I'm putting in a fair amount of garlic salt. Salt always goes well with chicken. And if I can sort of knock off two birds with one stone by just using the garlic salt, that's fine. A little bit of basil. Again, nice little herbal flavor. I like rubbing it between my fingers, breaking it up, releasing those oils, making it taste more. It's funny, when it's like this, you almost get a licorice scent, but it just goes really, really well with the chicken. Here's something that surprises a lot of people, a little bit of crushed dill weed. Again, it's just a flavor I love in my chicken. Put the cumin away. Of course, we need a good dose of pepper. Because I have the garlic salt in there, just a pinch of garlic salt. Now, I don't know about you, but I love things with a little bit of spice. This is some gorgeous, hot, smoked Hungarian paprika that was actually brought to me from Budapest. A friend of mine was visiting there, and he brought me a little sachet back, just like that, of one sweet and one spicy, and it's just the most incredible taste ever. Just give that a nice little mix up. First of all, it's going to break up any of your flour chunks. If there are some, who cares? Simple, quick, easy. Just making sure I didn't forget anything. You know what? Let's add a bit more spice. A little bit of cayenne pepper. Get that one out of the way. And I just want to up that garlic flavor a bit more. So we're going to add some garlic powder. So again, this is just the flavors that I like in my fried chicken. Play around with it, change what you want. Don't like garlic, use onion powder. Don't want it spicy, don't add any cayenne, but do try adding some paprika to it. It adds a really, really nice flavor. We're just checking my oil, making sure it's getting up to temperature. So we have our first dry bowl. This is where all my seasoning is. Then we have, here's where my counter becomes really even smaller. We just have a simple egg wash. It's just some eggs and a little bit of milk. And then our last bowl, which, yeah, we can see here, is just some plain white flour. The reason I do that is wet won't stick to dry. Wet won't stick to wet. Dry won't stick to dry. So my chicken right now is kind of wet. So we're going to dredge it in the flour. It'll go into the egg wash. Then I'll get a second coat with the flour. That'll make it really nice and crispy. Also, by having all my spice and my seasoning in the first bowl of flour, it's getting protected by the egg and the other flour, so it won't burn. Because some of these spices, when they burn, just taste horrible, and you don't want that. There are two ways you can go about this. One, you can use a dry hand, wet hand method. Myself, I don't care. I have a sink right here. I can easily wash up. So we start off, we take our first chicken cutlet, just very lightly, toss it in the flour. You want to make sure it's fully coated, but at the same time you don't want any extra flour on there. You dip it in the egg, and it's going to be slippery. Then back into that second bowl of flour. Here you can shake it up a little bit, make sure it's all coated, however you want to do it. You can even do this in plastic bags, but I find the coating gets a little bit heavy then, and it just isn't as nice. The first few that you do, the coating won't be as heavy, it won't stick as much, it'll be very, very smooth. As you go on, and this flour here starts getting a bit wet from the flour, from the egg, you're actually going to get a crispier chicken. And there's nothing stopping you from going back into the egg and back to that flour once more for a second layer and getting it even crispier. So we're just going to do a few pieces here. Really, we're just waiting for that oil to get up to temperature. We want it up to 350 degrees. You don't want it super hot, because then it'll be burnt on the outside before it's cooked in the middle. And again, raw chicken, not very good. And this is why I really like doing this myself. Sorry, I hit the camera there. I know the chicken is cooked properly. I know the chicken is fresh. I know all the ingredients are fresh. Nothing's been left out too long. I'm not going to get sick from this. So you can see it's all very, very easy. A lot of the times what I'll do is I'll actually fry up a huge batch. What I'm doing is I'm putting, just before I think about it, I'm just putting these chicken strips to the side, and then we'll cook in batches. It also gives everything a chance to set up, and this way it doesn't all fall off as you're cooking. So I was saying, a lot of the times I'll get chicken breast or chicken thighs, something will be on special. I'll grab a big pack. I've even done this with chicken wings, it works well. And I'll only partially fry them. Because then what I'll do is I'll put them on a cookie sheet, put them in the freezer, freeze them up individually, put them in a bag, and then when I do want some chicken or something, I just pull them out frozen from the freezer, toss them on a cookie sheet, put them in an oven, 375 degrees for about 20 minutes, and they're super crispy and really nice, not dry, and homemade chicken for a fraction of the price of what you pay for those pre-made, who knows what, mechanically formed and separated pieces of chicken that have more artificial preservatives and everything than you care to imagine. You can hear my oil is bubbling there a little bit. I normally don't put too much flour in my bowls because it's not something you can save. Let's face it, it's had raw chicken in it. I said I was only going to do a couple of fingers, and well, I've pretty well done them all. I only have one left. That's just going to give me more space to work for the next step. I can always add flour if I'm feeling I'm running low, but the one thing you can't do is put it back once you're done. Yeah, so that was the last of this is the last piece of the chicken here. You can see how fast we did that. Other than putting the flour in bowls and putting the spices in, that took what, a couple of minutes? Just washing my hands off camera. There we go. And my counter are wiped down. A few of you have asked like why I don't spray anything on my counters. It's because my rag actually, I have bleach solution sprayed on my rag. So when I'm wiping down, I'm helping to disinfect at the same time. So we're just going to move this, all this stuff out of the way. Somewhere. It's not going to fall there. No. Okay. Now, as I said, we have our tray of chicken that we just did. And what I've done over here now is I've just taken a cookie sheet, put some paper towel down over it, and I took the rack out of my toaster oven because I sort of melted my cookie cooling sheet. So we make do with what we have. So let's just quickly try and position this so we get a view. A little bit better. That clamp is loose. I don't want it to fall into the deep fryer as we're cooking here. And away we go. I think we're all set. Sorry for all this. I was told the cameras I ordered that came and they were all broken. I've been told they're on their way again. So with any luck in a week or so, we'll have a brand new camera set up where all these different camera angles will be set permanently and no more playing around with camera angles. So we'll just start off a couple of pieces at a time. Putting our chicken in. You don't want to put too many in at the same time. The temperature of the oil will drop. And then what will happen is you're going to get really greasy chicken. That's just going to sit there for a minute. It's going to start crisping everything up on the outside. Obviously the temperature is going to heat up that chicken and cook it through. And it doesn't take long. 2 to 3 minutes maximum per side. You want to be very careful. Obviously this is hot boiling oil. You don't want to stand directly over it. If it splashes and hits you in the face, not a pretty sight. And you can see that chicken is bubbling, and this is actually an important sign. If there are bubbles coming out of the chicken, that's great. It means it's the moisture and the water and everything that's in there evaporating out of the chicken. If you put it in and there's no bubbles, what's happening is the oil is actually being soaked into the chicken, and that's when it's all greasy and horrible. You don't want that. So we're going to cook this until it's nice and golden brown. You obviously want to use some tongs here. You don't need it. Sorry if it's loud. You don't need a ton of oil at this point. Just enough to barely cover the chicken. I have maybe an inch in there. Obviously, some of our smaller pieces are going to be cooked before the longer ones. But if you cut them all roughly the same size and the same thickness, they'll cook all roughly the same time. It's only logical. So here we are 20 minutes in. We started by slicing our chicken, making our coating. The oil is preheating at the same time, and we're about to pull out homemade, gorgeous fried chicken. You aren't going to order food this fast, have it arrive this fresh, and be this good. What I do like to do, my first piece, just cut into it and make sure that it's nice and cooked and white all the way through. Go ahead, add a couple more pieces. Needless to say, this chicken is going to be extremely hot when it first comes out. Just look how bubbly and crispy that crust is. When you put your knife down on the cookie sheet, make sure it goes in the opposite direction of the lines so it doesn't fall through like mine just did. Well, I'm not going to have you sit here and watch as I cook a whole batch of chicken, but this is the important part. And that's how this tastes. Tender, really juicy, all those herbs and spices, the kick from the cayenne and that hot Hungarian paprika coming through, and this is just incredible. This is why you cook at home. You know what goes in there, you made it from your heart, and you made it for your family and your friends. Even if you're just cooking for yourself like I am. Why hurt yourself with takeout, where you have no clue what you're eating? This, I know what's in here, you know what's in here, you saw everything go in. You saw this from start to finish, and how good this is. Serve it with your favorite dipping sauce. Personally, just like this, they're great. They don't need any other flavor. So, while this next batch is cooking and while I have the rest going, plus lunch is now ready, if you like this type of video, if you like what I'm doing, I only ask one thing of you. Actually, I ask two. One is hit that like button. Show me and show others that you like and you appreciate the work I do, showing you on how to make this incredible, tasty, satisfying food at home. The other thing is, please, hit that subscribe button. I need you to help me in a way to help you. The more people who subscribe, the better it is for me, and the better I do with YouTube. So, again, until next time we meet, my name is Andrew. I am the 5 p.m. Chef. Thank you for stopping by my kitchen, and enjoy.